I added all F1 2022 drivers to a tier list to rank all of their performances at the mid-season so far. Who will be on top? Will it be Verstappen? Will it be Leclerc? Will it be another driver like George Russell? Stay tuned to find out. My name is Chris. Welcome back to CF Racing and enjoy the video. Hey everybody, what's going on? Chris here, otherwise known as CF Racing, and just like the intro and I guess thumbnail, I haven't made the thumbnail yet, but as the thumbnail and intro state, I am going to be ranking all of the F1 2022 drivers at the midpoint of the season because we just finished the Austrian Grand Prix, and that is the 11th race of the season. There currently are going to be 22 races now that Russia is not on the calendar this year, so it is officially the midway point of the F1 season. I assume a lot of people are going to be doing this sort of tier list or just ranking video probably during the summer break, which is in, I think, after the next two races. I believe they go to France and then they go to Hungary and then there's the break, then there's Spa. But I'm going to be doing it right now because this is officially the midpoint of the season. So with that being said, guys, if you guys are new here and you enjoy content like this, or if you like F1 content like this, then hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and you know, the more you guys hit that like button and stuff, the more YouTube actually recommends this video. So if you guys can do that, that'd be great, and let's get into this tier list. So starting off in this tier list, we actually have George Russell. I put it in a completely random order, even though some of the teammates are actually beside each other, which is kind of funny. But hey, George Russell is here first. Very good season for George. He currently is beating Lewis Hamilton, which, I mean, I didn't predict. I believe I predicted him to be like P8 or something, or P7, P6, P5. I don't really remember. I'll do a my predictions recap at the end of the season. But George Russell currently, he's been in the top 5 every single race except Silverstone, which kind of sucks because that was his home race. But he has at 128 points. He's like 5 behind Carlos Sainz, which is very impressive considering Sainz is in a Ferrari. George Russell in P5. At the moment, I'm going to be putting him in the S category. S is very, very special, and it's a very good category. Obviously, it's the highest one. And at the moment, George Russell is going into S. He's been basically flawless this season, besides that little incident he had with Perez in Austria. Next up, we have Alexander Albon, who scored all 3 of Williams' points so far. Hasn't made Q3 like Goat Tiffy, which, I mean, that can knock him down on this list, but it's been a pretty good season for Albon. He's definitely come back. He's been better than what I thought he was going to be. I thought him and Goat Tiffy were probably going to be on par with each other. But yeah, he's been okay. I wouldn't say he's been fantastic. I mean, the Williams car really sucks, doesn't it? I'd say he's been average, and so I'm just going to throw him in B tier right now. I might do a little bit shuffling around at the end of this, but at the moment, he's in B tier. Next up, we have Sebastian Vettel, and out of the 18 points that Aston Martin have scored, he has scored 15 of those points. And Seb has been pretty good. He also did miss the first 2 rounds, but I mean, the Aston Martin was really bad in those first 2 rounds anyway, so I don't really think he was going to be scoring points anyway. But Seb's been alright. He hasn't been amazing. The qualifying head-to-heads are, I think they're in Seb's favor. I believe they are. But other than that, he hasn't been fantastic. He hasn't been like Seb of 2013, obviously, but he also hasn't been like 2020 Seb. So just like Albon, I am going to throw him in B tier, and I'm going to throw him a little bit higher than Albon because he does have more points than him, and recently Seb has been performing a little bit better. Next up is Carlos Sainz, currently P4 in the driver standings, has had a lot of DNFs, and man, he did get his first win. That was very impressive. I'm super happy for him, though I did think Leclerc did deserve to win that race way more than Carlos Sainz did. But, I mean, Carlos Sainz got a big smack in the face back to reality in Austria after his engine blew up, after he was battling Max Verstappen. It's been an okay season for Carlos Sainz, definitely not his best. He does have the pace to be up there with the big boys. We saw it in Austria. Like, he was close. Like, he's not on the pace of Leclerc or anything, but I would say he's probably, yeah, he's sort of doing better than Perez. It's very hard to tell, and Sainz has had more DNFs. So at the moment, I am going to be putting Sainz in the B tier so far in the season, but at the top of B tier, he hasn't been like that A caliber, which is really what we saw last year, which made me think, I'm like, okay, he can maybe challenge Leclerc, but he really isn't, so I'm throwing Carlos Sainz in B tier. Next up, we have Charles Leclerc, arguably been the quickest driver all season so far besides Max Verstappen. There's really no saying that Leclerc and Verstappen are the two who are in this title fight. The two best drivers, in my opinion, in F1 right now. So it's quite easy to put Charles in S tier. Qualifying has been elite. Race pace, did you see Silverstone? Without a front wing, he was the fastest driver on the track. Granted, Verstappen did have an issue, and I don't know what happened to Sainz, but yeah, Leclerc, easy S tier. He won in Austria yesterday, actually, with like half a throttle pedal, which I don't know how he does it, but I'm putting Charles in S tier. You can fight me on that. Next up is Zhou Guanyu, currently 5 points compared to Valtteri Bottas's 46. Granted, he is a rookie, and for a rookie season, it honestly hasn't been that bad, but it really also hasn't been like, oh my god, this guy is like the next Leclerc, the next Verstappen. Even like Lando Norris' rookie season was, I would say, is probably better than this. So I do want to see Zhou Guanyu step up just a little bit, but also as a rookie with Valtteri Bottas, who is a very good driver in his team. He's doing all right, but currently I am going to stick him in C tier because I really want to see him convert those like higher qualifying places into like better race results, which is what we're kind of seeing Bottas do. But also Bottas does have a lot more years of experience. But Joe, for now, stay in C tier. Next up, Daniel Ricciardo. Lando Norris has 64 points. Daniel Ricciardo has 17, which does really suck. I know he's been kind of unlucky this season, but he also hasn't been driving really good. Just like Zhou, I do want to throw him in C tier. Like Connor's going to hate me for this, but if I were McLaren, I'd drop Daniel Ricciardo at the end of the season. I know they're not going to, and I believe Zach Brown made a comment saying they're not going to drop Daniel Ricciardo, but if I were McLaren, I'd give him the boot. I'd throw Oscar Piastri in that team. I'd throw even Nick DeVries in that team, Pato O'Ward, Colton Herta, or whoever the hell they're going to throw in that team. Throw him in there. Ricciardo's not cutting it, and he's single-handedly costing McLaren P4 in the standings right now. So right now, I have Daniel Ricciardo in C tier, but if he can, win a race, if somehow that happens again, or if he gets close, or just some better performances to close like that 50-point gap between him and Norris, then maybe he'll move up to B tier. Speaking of Lando Norris has 64 points, currently in the best of the rest category if we're counting Mercedes as a front runner, as I am, because they're clearly the third fastest car, and even sometimes maybe the second fastest in some sort of weekends, but most likely the third fastest car. Lando Norris, easy A tier. He's been amazing. He's destroying Daniel Ricciardo. Like, he's single-handedly kicking Ricciardo out of McLaren right now just because of how good he's performing. And we all know that that McLaren team is built around Lando Norris, but he's great. Qualifying's great. Race pace is great, even with like a broken car. But he had like a flu or whatever the heck he had in like a couple races. He was still beating Ricciardo. So Lando Norris, easy A tier. Max Verstappen, current World Drivers' Championship leader, basically finished top 2 in every single race so far that he's finished. Yeah, it's easy S tier. I'd even put him ahead of Leclerc if I can move Leclerc down. There we go. Verstappen at the moment, I would say, has been the best driver on the season, but Leclerc has definitely been right behind him. But Verstappen really, his only mistake was in that race in Spain, where I believe did he still win that race? I don't even remember. Yeah, he did still win that race in Spain, and then when Leclerc spun in Imola, he didn't win that race. He, in fact, dropped back a little bit more. So Verstappen definitely been, in terms of race pace, the better driver. Leclerc's been the better driver in terms of quality pace. But, hey, maybe that'll flip now, as we saw Leclerc beat Verstappen on track last week in Austria. Next up, we have Nicholas Goat Tiffy. I love Goat Tiffy. He's probably one of the quickest drivers on the grid. But he has 0 points because, unfortunate circumstances, as he is in a Williams. But I hate to say it, but he really hasn't been performing well. And I want to see Goat Tiffy in F1 because everybody loves him. But first driver in the D category. I am so sorry, Nicholas Latifi. And honestly, I'd be absolutely shocked if he keeps his seat next season, which sucks. It really does suck because I like Goat Tiffy and I want to see more Canadians on the F1 grid. But what's with these Canadians being so bad? It's so annoying. I hate it. Alright, next up, Pierre Gasly, who scored 16 points for AlphaTauri. he's gotten into a lot of lap 1 incidents and a lot of just incidents recently, which is kind of weird. Not really something we've seen from Gasly. Also, that AlphaTauri doesn't really look like a good car, which kind of sucks, but I did predict, I want to throw that out there. I did think that AlphaTauri was going to take a step back, but it's really not been a good season. It's been okay for Pierre Gasly. Like, it's not like last 2 years where he's been like A or S. I'm on the fringe of B and C, but I'm probably going to throw him in the B category just because he's got more points than Yuki, but it's not like an absolute domination like it was last year. Valtteri Bottas. Actually, a surprisingly very good season for Bottas, as I predicted again. He's been pretty solid so far. Qualifying pace has been great, and then that good qualifying has really turned into good race pace, which is great for Bottas. He's actually been overtaking people, which is something we didn't see him do in Mercedes, so that's really cool. Turns out you can overtake somebody when you're actually told to do it and not stuck behind Lewis, so good job, Bottas. I'm throwing him in the A tier. He's currently P9 with 46 points, absolutely destroying his teammate. I believe he is taking everything out of that Alfa Romeo that you can really get out of that car. So good job, Bottas. I'm proud of you, and I think Alfa Romeo is a good home for Bottas, basically. And hopefully next year, maybe, I believe Zhou will stay, but maybe in a couple years he'll get another teammate, and maybe he can really show how he is against like another teammate. All right, next up, one of the most surprising teams in my opinion this year, even though I think I did predict them to finish in P5, is Alpine. Yay, I'm very happy with Alpine. They've been very good this season. Ocon has been very great. Alonso's been like the most unlucky driver of the year, but Ocon is in P8. He is currently like 12 points behind Lando Norris for best of the rest. It's been a good season for Ocon. I am going to throw him into the B category ahead of Seb because he's been solid, but he hasn't been like, wow. He's just kind of finishing in the points every race, and he's been getting kind of lucky most of the time. So I'm going to throw Ocon in B tier. Alonso also is going to go in B tier. Honestly, I think he's been even stronger than Ocon has been all season, except he has just been incredibly unlucky. Like, I can't believe how unlucky Fernando Alonso has been. In fact, I've even argued I'm going to put him in the A tier because he has been so good. And everything has just gone wrong for Fernando Alonso this year. Yeah, screw it. He's going in the A tier. I don't care what people think. He's going in the A tier. I'm sure all the Alonso fans are like, Mama, this is amazing. Great job. That's actually Italian, not even Spanish. But whatever. I'm so happy for Fernando Alonso, and he's going to stay next year. I'm very happy about that. And if he didn't have, a bad DNF in like Saudi Arabia, didn't crash in qualifying in Australia, basically could have got pole there, honestly. If he didn't, the car wasn't stuck on the stupid jacks in Austria and everything else that's happened for Fernando Alonso, something happened in Imola. Yeah, he'd be probably higher than Ocon in the point standings, but he's not. So I'm leaving him in A tier, but you guys can argue who's been better, Ocon or Fernando Alonso. Mick Schumacher. Oh my god. Man, if these last two races in Silverstone and Austria didn't happen, Mick would have been easy D tier. But he scored points, and it's great. Kevin Magnussen has 22 points. Mick Schumacher has 12. I mean, it's still been a kind of rough season so far for Mick. I am going to throw him in the top of C tier. But I think by the end of the season, he can make his way into the B tier, which is great, and I'm super happy for that. And I love Mick content because Mick is awesome. One of my favorite drivers on the grid. Yeah, as a Ferrari fan, I wouldn't say I was a Michael fan because I was too young to watch Michael race, basically, and even remember it. But I do remember Michael racing for Mercedes, and I did like him. So, yeah, Mick currently in C tier. Lewis Hamilton. Honestly, been really good couple races so far. Not really so far, but recently has had 3 podiums in a row, which has been great. Good job, Lewis. I know your car is, obviously the 3rd fastest now. I don't know what these Mercedes guys were saying at the beginning of the season when they're like, yeah, we're 5th fastest. Yeah, sure, okay, bud. Just like you guys weren't the fastest car last year. But Lewis Hamilton, I wouldn't say he's been on the level of George Russell this year, but I also have heard he is trying a bunch of different setup strategies and all that, just to maybe see how the Mercedes is and stuff, which makes sense to give Lewis those because George is new to the team. Don't know if George's feedback is as valuable as Lewis Hamilton's feedback, but he's been good. Certainly A tier. Honestly, I'm gonna give him top of A tier. I'll be generous to Lewis Hamilton, even though I don't really like him, but yeah, I'll give him top of A tier. I don't think he's been as amazing as George has just came out of nowhere and done that, but maybe next year George will gonna move down if he keeps doing those performances because that's just how he is. But right now I'm flabbergasted with George. Great job, George. I love George. Who doesn't love George? Speaking of drivers that I love, Lance Stroll, 3 points. Nice. That's not really that good. Probably gonna throw Lance Stroll in the top of D tier. He also has been kind of unlucky as well. Maybe it's harsh. Maybe Stroll can go up into C tier, but at the moment, I'm gonna throw Lance Stroll in D tier, sort of just to balance out this little graph we got going on here. But yeah, Lance Stroll's been okay. He's not been amazing. I thought he was supposed to be good in the wet, but every time in the wet he spins out now, so that really sucks. So sucks for Lance. He's gonna keep his seat obviously because his dad owns the team, but gonna throw Lance in D tier. You better step it up, Lance. My friend Daniel's gonna be mad if you don't step it up because you're his favorite driver, because he's Canadian. He only knows like these two down here. What's with the Canadians only in D tier? That's so annoying. All right, Yuki Tsunoda currently in P16. I mean, it's definitely better than last season. I think I did throw Yuki Tsunoda in like the D tier last year anyway, but Yuki Tsunoda hasn't really been that good, and he's been overtaken by Mick in the points in just 2 races. So I am going to throw Yuki Tsunoda in this lower end of C tier. He did crash with Pierre Gasly. I mean, his pace has been better. And also just in general, that Alpha, like I said, the AlphaTauri pace kind of does really stink. But at the moment, I'm sorry, Yuki. I don't know if it's just the car, if it's... I don't think it's Yuki. Like, he's got potential and all there, but still a little bit of mistakes are creeping in there. The AlphaTauri's not really good this year like I expected. But yeah, I'm going to throw him in C tier. Him and Zhou can really swap around, though. It doesn't really matter to me. Kevin Magnussen. Pleasant surprise Kevin has been. What a pleasant surprise. Kevin Magnussen has 22 points this season compared to Mick's 12, which, I mean, pretty good. He is basically, I wouldn't say he's carrying Haas now, but he is doing pretty good for Haas. I'm probably going to throw him in the B tier, maybe in... Yeah, I'll give him in front of Seb. I think Ocon has slightly performed a little bit better, but Magnussen has been great, especially for a driver who was out of F1 for 1 year. Come back to Bahrain, gets 10 points, finishes P5. Like, wow, good job, Kevin. Very proud of that. And there's no Gunther Steiner folk smashing doors or anything, so that's really cool. So, yeah, Kevin Magnussen is going to be thrown in the B tier. Very nice, Kevin. Very nice. All right, this is the last driver here. Sergio Perez, I believe he currently is P3. Yes, he is P3. He's been getting into a little bit of incidents recently, which kind of sucks, which is dropping him down in the constructor standings. But, I mean, I expected Charles to overtake him anyway. So, Perez currently P3, 151 points. Pretty good so far for Sergio Perez. I am going to throw him in the A tier. Definitely not S. He did win a race. Good job, Perez. He won Monaco, but... I mean, that was really Ferrari losing the race rather than him winning the race. But yeah, he's been good. I think, honestly, I'm going to give him... Ooh, do I give him top of A tier or do I give him second? You know what? I will give Perez top of A tier because he is P3 and he certainly has closed the gap to Max Verstappen this season, which is something that I really wanted to see. And I feel bad because I did predict him to finish in P7 and he is in P3 this year. But granted, I did expect McLaren and... Mercedes to be up there, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure if they were, then Perez would be a little bit lower in the standings, but yeah, he's currently in I would say P4 in this list, but I didn't really reorganize this, but I think this list is pretty solid. You know, I could move Gasly ahead of Albon, but I'm not going to, too bad. So yeah, guys, this is my tier list of the mid-season performances so far. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm just a complete and utter stupid person, then let me know in the comment section down below. And if you guys think GOAT TV does deserve to be in the top of S tier, like I just did right there, then I mean, I'm not gonna complain. You guys can move anybody around on this list, whatever you want. But if you guys did enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, join my Discord, links in the description. With that being said, everybody, see y'all next time. Goodbye.